Hey everyone, welcome back to Big Strong Book. I am Reed, and today we are going over chapter 14 of the Dragonbone chair, The Hill Fire. So this chapter picks up immediately after the last one, with Simon in a weird, almost fugue state as he is out of this tunnel, and he realizes that he's just by Urchester. So he makes his way forward through kind of this path, and he sees a visage or a vision of who he believes to be his mother, and his mother tells him, "Why have you not come to me, my son? And the wind is drear and chill, and I have been such a long time waiting. We have not met for so long, my beautiful child. Why do you not come to me? Why do you not come and dry a mother's tears?" And then she disappears, and he is, as one can imagine, haunted by it. And Simon is just so constrained and, confused by everything that is going on. And then he comes to an outcropping on a hill called the Anger Stones, and he sees these figures come forward, and he realizes that they might be the white foxes that he has always heard about. And then eventually he sees some guardsmen, he sees priorates, he sees King Elias, and a bound man is with them. And priораtes goes up to them, to who Simon believes are the white foxes, and he says, or they ask him, this man, this bound man, who Simon sees, realizes is Count Breugar, he is not, this does not seem to be what was promised. And priораtes says, "This one allowed the promised one to escape. He will take the promised one's place." And Elias seems almost confused by what's going on. He says, "Promised? What is this promised? Who was promised?" And then priorate says, "Please, my king, I think you know." And so the white foxes they're content with Count Breugar, who you assume at this point is going to be almost like a sacrificial lamb. These fabled white foxes, it appears that priораtes and Elias are making a sort of pact with them. They're making a deal, and that's very clear. Priораtes kind of intones a chant. He says, "To the dark one who is master of this world, who bestrides the northern sky, hear now your supplicant." And Breugar tries to run away, and he's brought back. And priораtes, as Breugar runs away, priораtes feels that there is somebody else. He feels the presence of Simon. And the white foxes tell him, "If the covenant no longer suits you, then let it be broken off now. It is dangerous to leave the ritual half spoken. Very dangerous." And so priораtes continues, and he ends up killing Breugar, and Breugar's blood kind of pours onto this dark box that is before them, and it starts to smoke. And the black box, the lid of the black box falls open, and it reveals a sword. So this sword, it feels so mysterious, so foreign, but yet so familiar. Because in Simon's mind, it just says, "It beats like a heart, the heart of all sorrow." Calling, it sang inside Simon's head, a voice both horrible and beautiful, seductive as claws gently scraping his skin. "Take it, Highness," priораtes urged through the hiss of the wind. Enthralled, helpless, Simon suddenly wished he had the strength to take it himself, could he not? Power was singing to him, singing of the thrones of the mighty, the rapture of desire unfulfilled. Elias is almost horrified by it, and he takes it, and he lifts the sword and he says, "I will take the master's gift. I will honor the pact. Hail to Inuleki, Storm King." And Simon says, "No, the king, all is lost. Run, Joshua. Sorrow, sorrow on all the land." And further on, "The devil is here. Sorrow, his name is Sorrow. The king has brought the devil. Morganus, holy Osiris, save me, save me, save me." And he kind of tumble and falls down and passes out. And that is the end of part 1, Simon Mooncalf. And then we have, for next time, the beginning of part 2, Simon Pilgrim. And so the reason why I've gone through this chapter super fast is I feel like these chapter videos tend to run on kind of the long side. But this chapter is very significant. Simon gets out, and we see a very crucial moment where the fabled white foxes that have been seen in the north, now all of a sudden, Pryrates and Elias have secured some sort of pact with them. And through kind of the sacrificial blood of Count Breugar, they have gained this sword. We don't know exactly, at this point in the story, coming to it for the first time, we don't know what this sword is. We don't know what it is capable of. We don't know what it pulls. But Simon feels sorrow within the sword. He feels power calling, not just to maybe Elias and Pryrates, but to him. He's hiding in the shadows. He feels pulled to this sword. It's very crucial moving forward. And now Simon is out. Simon is, as the second part of this book illustrates, Simon is now a pilgrim. He's a man on his own. So one of the big spoiler things that I would like to first talk about has to do with the sword itself. So I'm going to jump into that. So the sword that Elias gets is obviously the sword Sorrow. Now, if I remember correctly, and this is spoilers for the rest of the series, is that the sword that Simon ends up with at the end of To Green Angel Tower, when it's him, Elias, Pryrates, and Chimerus in the throne room? Is that the sword that Simon has, that Simon is trying to resist at the end? If it is, I mean, I haven't checked back into Green Angel Tower, but if it is Sorrow specifically that he was resisting, I think it might be. I really think it might be. Because Chimerus had Thorn, if I remember correctly. And then was it Elias that had Memory? Or Pryrates? I forget. I forget off the top of my head. But I think Simon had Sorrow. So it almost foreshadows a little that pull right off the bat. And so I found that quite interesting. The other big speculative spoiler thing is Joshua. Pryrates was originally going to bring Joshua to be the sacrificial lamb for the Norns, but him being called the Promised One. Obviously, we know throughout this trilogy that Joshua leads an army to defeat the Norns, but then he disappears. He goes researching. So for kind of getting caught up with the last king of Osten, is Joshua still the Promised One? Is he the Promised One for the Navigator's children? I'm not sure, but I may think of some more things along the lines of that as we go forward. Who knows, maybe there might be hints and seeds here and there of where it could be going. So, chapter 14, The Hill Fire. Let me know what you think of it, and I will see you guys next time for chapter 15.